Do it now, do it now.
All right, it's 9 o'clock. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to our regular DOCC meeting for April 10th, 2024. Those in the room, those that may be watching online, and those that may be reviewing the video after the fact. Before we call the roll, I'd like to invite Sean Dutcher, our county manager, to provide an invocation and lead us in the pledge.
Thank you. Let us pray. For the word of God is the power of God unto salvation to everyone that believes in the name of Jesus. Dear Lord, Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day. We thank you for this opportunity to come together once again. We ask, Lord, that we are able to exhibit the same faith as Meshach, Shadrach, and Abednego did when they faced adversity. They found themselves in the midst of the fiery furnace, and yet their faith delivered them. They found that if you remain faithful, no matter what the challenges are, remain faithful and true to God, and He will deliver you. In fact, He will meet you in the struggle, and you will dance through them. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Monica, could you call the roll, please?
Commissioner Blair?
Here.
Commissioner Richardson?
Here.
Commissioner Short?
Here.
We have a quorum. First item of business we have is approval of the agenda. I would accept the motion.
Mr. Chairman, I move we approve the agenda as presented.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the agenda as presented. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. All righty. First items we have are items on consent. I would accept the motion.
Mr. Chair, I'd make a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to accept the items on consent as presented. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. All right, moving on to elected officials, department head, staff report. Sherry, Deputy. Bob. Staff.
Go ahead.
Morning, Commissioners. Lonnie Hinkins, Elbert County Public Works Director. I want to provide a quick update on our new facility that we've been into. We're going into our fourth month. Just kind of thought I would bring you up to speed on how things are going, some of the workload associated with it. And then also I want to discuss the 2024 snow plowing season, how things have been progressing there in association with the building. The shop obviously is larger. We went from 1 bay to 4 bays, which is a much better scenario for the shop. We have taken on working with the SO and working on their vehicles. To date, the shop from January 1st to, well, last week, we have done 160 work orders through there. 20 of those have been the Sheriff's Department. From what I understand, and the feedback we're getting from them is things are fixed properly, adequately. The mechanics, per the fleet manager's instruction, are looking at extra things that might get, unnoticed otherwise, and repairing those as they go. So I think that process is going really well, and looking forward for that to continue to grow those guys. But that shop is much, much more efficient. Snow plowing ops. We have done, since January 1 to now, we've done 24 snow plow shifts in total. It's been kind of a light, it was kind of a light March, honestly. I saw on the news where March was one of the warmest on record. So we really didn't do as many shifts as I thought we did. The largest snowplow shift we did was on March 13th. Coincidentally, that was the Bridge. Have plowing shift operations from that Wednesday to that Friday, 3 days continuous. A large number of the road and bridge employees, including myself, stayed at the facility. Now that we have that option, they were able to get adequate rest before their shift began, get some food, get cleaned up, get a shower. I took advantage of all that. But that's a big deal, because in the past, a lot of guys live pretty remote, and so for them to ensure they're here for their shift, they would come stay, and at the old facility, it was not the best accommodations. So that has been a huge upgrade, and I think even that aspect makes us much more efficient, just having the guys rested, less chance for accidents, things of that nature, mistakes. The snowplow trucks are continuously parked in the parking garage section in the new facility. This, as you know, will prolong the life of the trucks since they're not out in the sun rot and things. Some of the tanks, the neck tanks on combo trucks are plastic, things of that nature. So that's a huge advantage for us. The trucks, if we know storms coming in, they are preloaded with de-icing materials in advance, a day or two in advance even, and then upon the guys arriving, they can do their walk-around procedures inside the shop or in the parking garage, where they can identify issues much better than in the past where they'd show up and there's 6 inches of snow on the vehicle. It makes it a much better lit up situation for them to do a safer walk-around procedure. Our response time getting out on the asphalt roads is dramatically improved. Used to take the whole process, by the time we got everything fired up and loaded up, it'd be an hour, hour and a half. Now it's within 20 minutes. So that part is much better, much more efficient with the new shop. From January 1st to now, Public Works has spent $162,324.73 on de-icing materials. We have had 3,418 labor hours associated with snow plowing operations. The total cost from January 1st to now for labor, equipment, and materials has been $480,457.87. Each shift, I kind of broke it down, if you average it out, is roughly $20,000 is what each snowplow shift costs. Flood repairs update real fast. The drainage crew just finished up on County Road 166 east of Kiowa Bennett Road. Over the winter, it was so mild, we were able to get County Road 149 completed, which is just north of Matheson. So that has been completed. We were going to move to 112. We had to put a County Road 170 bridge out by Agate ahead of that due to the condition of the bridge. CDOT inspected it after the flooding. They reduced the weight limit on the bridge. There's lots of farming going on out there, and ranching, so we're changing the priority there to build a detour around that and then get the engineering and Ashley and the folks are working on a grant for bridge replacement. So, Sarah, so we're looking at that. But the guys are going to shift gears, head out, build the detour around the bridge, shut down the bridge for now, so that folks out there can have a better, safer situation. After we do the detour around the 170 bridge, then we will move to 112. I'm estimating we're going to move out to 112 right around May and begin that project to get that. Do you have any questions?
So the new trucks are
Yeah, thank you to the taxpayers and thank you to you guys, because what a huge difference. It's just created so many more efficiencies. I know everybody's like, wow, it's awful big, but we're using it. It's full, isn't it? We use every square foot of that place.
I appreciate it. The feedback we've gotten through the season was really positive. Obviously, we hear from folks that have complaints with very few on it. So,
Yeah, the guys put their heart and soul on that, and then we put in on top of that, it really
it shows things which definitely appreciate the numbers too. I don't think most people will think snow plow would cost us an additional $500,000 a year.
Yeah. Yeah, de-icing products are kind of like real estate, they don't go down.
No.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
All right, thank you.
Mark?
Great, good morning, Mr. Chair, Commissioners, elected officials, staff, fellow citizens. I'm Mark Greer, Director of Community and Economic Development, Elbert County Government. Just going to provide you a brief update on regulations and updates as it pertains to our zoning and subdivision regs. We are taking what we call a manageable size approach to our updates on regulations. So basically, we're looking at about 5 to 10 items at a time. So as you might imagine, it can be daunting, perhaps overwhelming if you try to tackle the entire set of documents and do one full comprehensive update, especially when it requires review and approval by several people, planning commission, yourself, and so on. So we've been working to basically just gather up all the recommended changes, suggestions. This is from previous staff, current staff, other inputs that we get on regulations. We've been documenting what's what in the way of these suggestions, or categorizing them, prioritizing them. So this first round of updates that we're currently involved in, we've got 8 topics, basically 8 updates, and some of it's just formatting, better flow of the document, the way it reads, clarity, that type of thing, spelling, grammar. A few examples that you will ultimately see in this first round. One topic has to do with road acceptance, the other one has to do with short-term rentals, and also a zoning compliance item that you'll see. We had a work session in person with the Planning Commission. That was in January, so we brought this first round of updates to them, and the Planning Commission had a chance to review and comment and so forth. We are bringing it back to the Planning Commission in a public hearing next week, so that will be on the agenda next week for April 16. As you're aware, once it goes from Planning Commission in the way of a recommendation, then it goes to you, the Board of County Commissioners, and there is a requirement in our regulations to notice the public 30 days in advance of any DOCC hearing for regulation updates. So we'll certainly do that. We're going to get this first round in front of you, DOCC, after that noticing and so forth. And then in the meantime, we're moving forward on to the next round. So again, we're looking at our big list. We're prioritizing, figure out what needs to move forward sooner rather than later. And this is an ongoing process now. That's my update related to regulations. And I'm here for any questions, and if you have any comments, please share them. Thanks.
Are there any material changes that are just making them more efficient?
Yeah, there are some material changes. I'd say if you look at the 8 that we're bringing forward right now, they all have a piece of new material in a sense. And then just when we went through it and we saw a certain area, then that's when we did some cleanup suggestions.
I'm encouraged to hear that it's an ongoing process to continue review. We know conditions change, whether it's economic timing of things for people, and be able to evaluate that on an ongoing basis, I think, is a good process to make what we're regs fitting with reality.
I echo that. I appreciate it. You had mentioned some were kind of spelling and grammar. I don't know if you are going to get together, but perhaps for those it might be appropriate to put some language in that will allow you as the director to just make non-substantive spelling, formatting, that type of thing, without having to go through a hearing process if that fits with the statute allows. That might save us some time and effort with the planning commission and ourselves.
That's great to know. Thank you for that suggestion. Yeah, and as I shared, within each of the proposed updates, again, for this round, there is a material piece
Yeah.
within them, and then it's just while we're in there, like, well, let's make this sound a little better, and put some maybe grammar, spelling, et cetera.
I appreciate that. Thank you much.
Thank you, John.
Any other chat? Before we move to citizen public comment, as we have been doing for all our meetings this year in recognition of our 150th anniversary as a county, is we've been looking back at the minutes from 1874 to see what was going on. Sort of like 2024 has been kind of a slow march. They were probably home for a little snow. But this is what we found. This was at the end of the first week of March 1874 in the territory of Colorado, in the county of Elbert, and the location was Frankstown. A joint meeting between Douglas County Commissioners and Elbert County Commissioners met, and present were the same officers as the day before, with Commissioner Ratcliffe from Douglas County in the chair. Commissioner Ox of Elbert County moved that the county buildings that had belonged to the two counties and were situated in Frankstown would be advertised and sold to the highest bidder at public auction on the first day of June. And the auction would be held in Douglas County. And the motion was carried in the joint board adjourned. Preparation for Douglas County to move their seat from Frankstown up to Castle Rock. Then that afternoon, there was a special session of just the Elbert County Commissioners with Commissioner Golding as the chair. And on a motion of Commissioner Grogan, Julia Sucker was appointed as the constable in and for the Lower Kiowa precinct. Commissioner Grogan then motioned that Clifford Rogers be appointed as the Justice of the Peace, and James Reynolds as the constable in and around Hugo, that was precinct 13. On a motion of Commissioner Ox, William Osborne was appointed Justice of the Peace and Lewis Brooks Constable for the area around Box Elder. Commissioner Ox then motioned that in Cornwall will be appointed as the Justice of Peace and John Baldwin as the Constable in and around the Pioneer Precinct. And then finally, again, Commissioner Ox made a motion that T.E. Neal would be appointed as the Justice of Peace and Charles Helm as the Constable for Upper Kiowa. The meeting was adjourned, and apparently the next day they had another joint meeting in Douglas County. So that was what was going on. There's organizing and keeping the peace throughout the county that then extended from the Douglas County line to the Kansas line. With that, I will open for citizen public comment. Seeing none, we will close citizen public comment and open our discussion items. The first we have is from Human Services, a proclamation regarding child abuse prevention. Welcome.
Good morning, Commissioners, elected officials, colleagues, and guests. I'm Darcy Golding, I'm the Director of Elbert County Department of Human Services. And I'm joined today with my Protective Services Administrator, Missy Callahan, who was going to read this, but she is going to read this. April has always been, in my career, in 20 years of being in Colorado Human Services, recognized as Child Abuse Prevention Month. And so I'm going to share the proclamation with you guys this morning. Whereas the well-being of children is of paramount importance to the future prosperity and vitality of our community, and whereas all children deserve protection, they should be provided with a safe, nurturing environment in which to grow and thrive. And whereas child abuse and neglect can have devastating and long-lasting effects on children, impacting their physical, emotional, and psychological well-being, and can have far-reaching consequences for families, communities, and society as a whole. And whereas preventing and addressing child abuse and neglect requires the commitment and collaboration of individuals, families, communities, organizations, and government agencies to work together to promote awareness, provide support and resources to families in need, and create safe and supportive environments for children. And whereas April has been designated as Child Abuse Prevention Month to raise awareness about the importance of preventing child abuse and neglect, to promote the well-being of children and families, and to encourage communities to take action to prevent and respond to child abuse and neglect. Now therefore, be it resolved that the Elbert County Board of County Commissioners hereby proclaims April as Child Abuse Prevention Month and urges all citizens to join in efforts to prevent child abuse and neglect, to support families in crisis, and to promote the safety, well-being, and healthy development of all children. I also just want to follow that up with, we thank you guys for your support. We feel very, although we are on an island over on the fairgrounds, we feel like we have lifeboats to get to you guys, and we appreciate all of your support. I can't thank Misty enough. A year ago, standing here, we didn't really have a child welfare department, just because it's a hard position. I say hard, I don't like that word. Challenging position. And the average time for a caseworker to be in that position is about 18 months. And we almost have a full department, almost. So thank you to you, and thank you to you guys over there, and all of my colleagues for all your support.
Any comments or questions?
No, just thank you for everything you do.
And please pass that on to your caseworkers as well. And that is a very, very hard job. You got to be dedicated, strong. It's hard to deal with situations when families and kids are at their worst, and you have to be at your best.
Thank you.
Next, we have a proposal for a ballot measure being brought forth by Michelle Ingersoll. Michelle, thanks for joining us today.
Thank you. Sorry.
Now, just kind of to frame the discussion, unlike municipalities or the state, there isn't a petition process for citizens to place something on the ballot. Within counties, I think that can only happen for recalls of elected officials. I believe there's one other minor technical one but otherwise, for something to go on the ballot, it's got to be brought to the county commissioners, and we place that on the ballot. Several years ago, we had a potential measure that kind of dragged on, and we didn't get to the actual approval or disapproval until I believe the day before ballots had to go to print. So after that, we kind of set an internal policy kind of timeline so we could bring things forward early enough to kind of get a feel for what was being asked, what the level of support was, readiness to support a measure if it did go on the ballot, and then if we needed to do any tweaking, make that decision early enough that we're not holding up the ordinary voter selection process, getting things to the treasury department. That's kind of where we're at. But Michelle, I'd leave it to you to introduce what you're bringing forward today.
All right, well, thank you. So Michelle Ingersoll, Local 5, County Road 122 in Colorado. So what I'm requesting to be put on the 2024 ballot in November is to allow the persons elected to the offices of the surveyor, the assessor, the treasurer and public trustee, clerk and recorder, and the coroner to be allowed to serve 3 consecutive terms. As permitted by the Colorado Constitution, Article 18, Section 11, and allow the Elbert County citizens to choose to re-elect them. So these 5 positions are frequently misinformed and thought to be guided by political affiliation, when in fact their duties are set by Colorado statutes and laws, and they have specific skills, math skills, calculations, formulas, geometry, anatomy, and science. And these 5 positions don't make or change policies for the county. They work as professionals with certifications and licenses, and again, they meet mandatory state guidelines and deadlines. So 3 terms would be a benefit to the county. And according to Colorado Counties, Inc., only 15 of the 64 Colorado counties still have 2-term limits. 58 of the 64 counties have successfully removed or extended term limits for 1 or more elected offices. So why should we consider this? For the 2023 U.S. Census, the population of Elbert County is approximately 28,800. Of that, only 60% are between the ages of 18 and 65. So subtract the number of those who haven't been a resident for at least 1 year prior to the election. Subtract those who have no interest in running, and subtract those who just aren't qualified. That leaves a significantly smaller pool of qualified people who would want to run for the office. So that being said, for the county's 2024 Candidate and Qualifications Guide, there are 4 requirements, and this is for the assessor, for the recorder and treasurer. 1 is they have to be a registered elector. 2, they have to be at least 18. 3, a resident for the county for 1 year prior to the election. And surprisingly, number 4, the specific job requirements are not applicable. That really surprised me because you want to see or hear a successful professional business interview somebody and say, you're 18, you have no qualifications, no experience, I'll hire you. They count you shouldn't either. So again, these positions must be very skilled and very qualified and preferably experienced. So in closing, in the interest of a better and more efficient county, give the citizens the opportunity to elect those not just running for a first or a second term, but also the opportunity, if he or she opts to run for a 3rd term, to let them choose to elect them for that 3rd term. So capitalize on their skills, their talents, and their experience, and then use the election to decide. So with that, comments? My remarks.
Questions or comments?
Just clarifying, so very good, strong position you outlined there. The 5 positions again, I missed one somewhere, I've got 4 that's written down.
Oh, so sorry. So the surveyor, the assessor.
Sure, that's what I missed.
Oh, okay.
I appreciate bringing this forward, particularly, I know over the last few years, we've had discussions that when we no longer have working elected officials in these positions, it'll probably require another full-time employee. And so that is something that we have been contemplating, and as we plan ahead to that change of the guard, so to speak, if we have people that aren't formally within the office or need fully trained, and they're not up to speed, it's going to require more people. So I appreciate you bringing that out. I know that we've emailed back and forth on the policy on getting a ballot initiative put forth. And so I just encourage you to keep going down that path. Particularly what I like to see is a lot of public support with it going forward, so that we can have that as a reasoning to put it on, not just our own personal opinion. So that's kind of where I'm at. But nice presentation, I appreciate it.
All right, absolutely. Thank you.
Curious, you said for the surveyor, assessor, treasurer, clerk, and recorder, there were 4 requirements. Oh. It's not that easy. No, for surveyor, assessor, treasurer, clerk, and recorder, you listed the 4 requirements. For the coroner, was there a 5th? Or
Yeah, surveyor, assessor, treasurer, public trustee, clerk and recorder, and coroner.
Okay. But for all of those, there were just the 4 requirements.
Yeah, that was,
There's something
I
additional.
got it off the site. So the NA was for the assessor, clerk and recorder, the coroner and sheriff, and surveyor. We had a couple other specific requirements listed. Commissioner was NA too, so.
Yeah. So have you done some public outreach? What kind of response are you seeing?
Entered some stuff on Facebook. Not not my best place to go. Or there's been at least 300 people plus that have engaged. Some are, I got this to say and that's it. Others are, yes, I agree. They also want to add the sheriff. I was thinking, maybe the sheriff, that could be something to add as well, if we want to, or keep it as totally separate, decision, separate from these 5 positions.
Appreciate that. It's good to know what the citizens are thinking. I think it would be useful, I think, on the side of the clerk and recorder, if we had just an estimate of what the potential costs of running such election would be, if it's kind of covered because we have a ballot out already or not, if we're kind of balancing what the public support is versus the cost of the election, that would be helpful if we can kind of.
It'd probably save you money. Well,
Right, yeah. No, I get that. I didn't have any other questions at this time, but thank you.
if you don't know.
I just have one comment, and that is, or a question, I guess is the better way to put it, is when you put something like this on the ballot, you're going to have to work with the public to get them to understand why.
Yes.
And I don't know if you've got a group put together or something like that, that helps you have community meetings or whatever, but you've got to, anytime you have an election like this, you need to have some way to get the public to agree with you.
Yeah, and understand that there's still a limit. That's the big thing. I know in 2009, it was put on the ballot and it failed because it was to remove term limits. I think that's too much of a jump. And scares people, even though they
Even though each election is an opportunity to
Yeah.
say no as well, or yes. I just want to keep moving forward on.
All right.
You're free, you're free. No, very good presentation. All righty, next we have some discussion of recovery and reimbursements from our flooding last summer. And our interim OEM, Aaron's going to present. Thank you. I brought my appropriate copy.
I love it, I saw that. Hopefully technology works, that's great. Good morning, Mr. Chairman, county commissioners, elected officials, and county leadership, as well as my colleagues in different departments, and Elbert County citizens. My name is Aaron Bourne. I am the, as stated, the interim emergency manager for Elbert County. I was previously an emergency management coordinator, so I've been around for a while, and I truly, thoroughly enjoy serving in this community. I look forward to continuing that efforts with my team and the other department heads, as well as the leadership's backing and support. And yes, so we're going to talk about, just like you said, recovery and reimbursement from the 2023 flooding, where we are, where we're going, deadlines, important part, money, reimbursements, and all that good stuff. So today our agenda is going to be exactly that. So the FEMA disaster recovery 4731, that is the project number or disaster recovery number. talk about submissions and approvals, expenditures and reimbursements. The Road and Bridge Department, which has played an extremely crucial role in this entire process, which I've been extremely gracious to work with them, with their expertise as well as their hard work. And then the Hazard Mitigation Grant Program for the stuff that was not covered under the disaster recovery, so that disaster recovery, where that status is and the estimated total cost for that project. I've also brought along my team and asked the other department heads as well as their specializations to answer any questions in their sectors and events. All right, so first of all, submissions and approvals. So the required documents and the project information has been sent to FEMA. As we know, the federal government likes to take its time for these processes, so we must be patient on that side of things. We're waiting for feedback from our appointed FEMA representative for official approval and submitted reimbursement for each category. For category A, that is debris removal. Category B is emergency protective measures, and additional FEMA requests will be promptly addressed. They always like to ask us for more documentation to make sure that we are showing what was previously done, what occurred, and what the aftermath and what we are planning on accomplishing. So the expenditures reimbursement, these are our expectations for reimbursement. So we have to follow the compliance guidelines associated with FEMA to make sure that all of these expenses are eligible. It's a very detail-oriented cost tracking during all these projects. Corinne as well as Chris, the Public Works Department, along with Bonsi, have done an extremely thorough job of tracking costs as well as personnel. Financial records from Tiffany and Ashley Deanne from the finance departments have done a phenomenal job of providing exactly what the FEMA has been requesting, so it's been extremely helpful on that side of things. In conjunction with our disaster recovery specialist, Sarah Clausen. We have continued clear communication with our FEMA counterparts with regularly scheduled meetings and touch points, which we are continuing, and I believe one is coming up this week. Road and Bridge Department, so our category C. So for category C, that includes road and bridge and infrastructure systems. Significant progress has been made, as Bonnie touched on earlier in this department update. Several projects are, obviously because of the catastrophic damage associated with them, are still in progress and not completed at this time, but we do have estimated improvement and completion dates on those. The final submittal to FEMA will open category C, our project, when they're all completed. So our deadline's in February of next year. So we have quite some time to be able to complete those projects and submit that final approval. Staff time allocations, dedicated staff has invested a lot into the FEMA quantified hours, so tracking those hours, how much time we're spending on that, how much time the Road and Bridge Department are spending on each project, that needs to be thoroughly tracked and reported. Along with the accurate itemization of the labor, this will reinsure that the reimbursement claims are approved and accepted. So just making sure we're doing our diligence on all three departments and just a full understanding of transparency to the public, to our leadership, county manager, and county attorney, as well as other elected officials. This would be 100% reimbursable for outside of normal hours. So overtime pay, extra project work, all of that, falls into the 100% reimbursable. So for Road and Bridge Department, adding on to this, category A, debris removal, the status of this is it's been completed and submitted to FEMA for reimbursement, so that's great. So currently, the county's out-of-pocket costs are $69,449 and some change. The pending approval reimbursement is $52,087 and some change. So not full reimbursement, but it does take a lot of money back into our pockets to reimburse the funds that we had for the disaster recovery. In regards to category B in emergency services, this has also been completed and submitted to FEMA for reimbursement. Our out-of-pocket expenses include $140,000, it was a bigger ticket item. And then the pending approval is $105,000 as a change. There's the specific numbers there, and I'm more than happy to disseminate this presentation if you'd like to have those exact numbers. Category C is the road and bridge infrastructure systems we talked about earlier. This is the largest ticket number financially wise. Current out-of-pocket expenses are $874,000 and some change. The specifics are there. The possible reimbursement when completed and the submittal of reports and making sure that we're in compliance with deadlines would be approximately $655,861. Yes.
Just a quick question on that.
Yes, sir.
I assume the difference between the reimbursement and the actual cost is it a 80-20 split or?
So I'm going to refer that to actually the end of that question.
That would be 75%.
75.
There you go. And it's always associated cost share with it.
And it's not because of a shortfall in record keeping,
No.
it's because structurally they don't provide full reimbursement.
We have done, according to our point of contact with FEMA, an exceptional job of providing the reports. I'd like to point out our contributing staff, every one of them have done a phenomenal job of giving them that, but yes, that is the cost share associated with it. All right, so unfortunately, there wasn't everything was covered during disaster recovery, specifically the bridge out in Agate. Historical bridge, it's been there for quite some time. So recently, in conjunction with the Finance Department, Road and Bridge Department, and Emergency Management Department, we have filed a notice of intent that was just submitted this past March 29th, 2024. The sole focus is the Colorado Bridge Road 170. So this is the sole access bridge to Agate, as everyone should be aware of. If not, that's the one that we're focusing on. Final application is due August 5th. We had a great meeting with the state as well as some consultants associated with what we need to present to them and put into the application. So we have a way forward. We know what we need to do, what packages and documents that need to be presented in order to have this achieved. This will pretty much rebuild the bridge and pay for that association. There's an interagency panel scoring, so when we submit it, the submission to FEMA, they don't have open comment to it, they just review our packet. That's why we're doing our due diligence now and submitting the proper packet with the proper applications to ensure that we can get this hazard mitigation grant program. The estimated cost for this total project is $500,000. This is also including the understanding of cost of inflation, acquisitions to different materials that are needed to reconstruct the bridge. So we put that into our cost analysis and cost benefit analysis of what that's going to look like and how much it's going to eventually cost when we finally get to that point of approval and we actually start breaking ground on the project. So engineering, bridge construction, required permitting and additional materials, labors, all the disposal, that all is included in the estimated total project cost. So similar to the FEMA disaster recovery, the federal share is up to 75%, so it's $375,000 in total project costs. Non-federal share is up to 25%, so $125,000 for the total project costs. So from Elbert County, most specifically, it is a 12.5, so about 62,500, and up to 25% if, depending on what the approval looks like from the panel, up to $125,000. That would be Elbert County's expenses for rebuilding this bridge. Other than that, I'm more than happy to take any questions. If I do not know the answer, I have our specific department heads to answer any of those questions that the public or our leadership may have for us. Attached to this is my direct email if you have any questions, comments, concerns, as well as our webpage that has updates and some information for contact information and all that good stuff. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Yeah, the main question is that once you amend your application into FEMA, for the reimbursement money, how long does it take them to go through their process and procedure and write the check?
So that's a good question. They always like to push deadlines, and from my experience, they give you a date and it usually is pushed back. So I would love to have an actual timeline and a hard date on that. But the most hard date that we have is specifically submitting our package. When it comes to them actually writing the check and dispersing the money, it goes from the Fed to the state, and then the state distributes to the local county. So Ashley, you have anything? No, that's.
Yeah, I was trying to think, I think the flooding in 13, I think we closed out everything from that in either 18 or 19, so it'll be a couple years, it's going to be a couple terms. Yeah.
So I wish I had those hard dates and numbers, we request those a lot in our conversations and touch points with FEMA, but unfortunately, my favorite word in federal government is it depends. So yes. It depends. So we will see, as soon as we do have an official one, we will make that abundantly apparent to everyone, we'll inform everyone. You will have that information, hopefully at a director's meeting update or in another one of these forums.
I just want to say thank you to you and Road and Bridge Department, Finance Department. It's tax season, and I'm working with my federal forms. I can't even imagine what you guys are doing with them. So thank you for doing that. A quick question that I had, between category A, B, and C, and then also the hazard mitigation, the upfront money is from us, and they're reimbursed. Which one of those specifically is like from our general fund versus road and bridge? Is it like you broke out your category A, C, and the hazard mitigation will be from road and bridge funds initially, and then the emergency services from the general fund? Am I reading that correctly?
So I would refer this question to our finance specialist, Tiffany. Or Ashley, yeah.
Hi, I'm Ashley Dean, I'm the Finance and Grant Specialist for Elbert County. To answer that question, so we actually have, because our Road and Bridge Department, so we'll tackle one category at a time. So category A is going to be strictly out of Fund 20, because that was all Road and Bridge employees removing that debris, taking it to our funds pit, and then properly disposing of that through a burn permit. And then category B is our emergency, so that's going to be a combination of, we have to get the helicopter help from Suffolk County, as well as our Road and Bridge Department, because within this category, getting the cones, the signage, as well as having our crews out closing the roads, that will also come out of Fund 20. So it's actually going to be a combination of general fund and Fund 20. And then, of course, category C is going to be strictly Fund 20. And then I just want to touch on any paperwork aspect within our hourly employees that are working on the FEMA projects, such as myself and a couple others. That is the amount that is 100% reimbursable, and that's considered category Z. And it is just, it won't be completed until the very last paperwork is sent off.
Thank you very much. And, just a follow-up, I can't imagine 10 years ago to have an event like this where we had to put that much money up front would have been a real burden on the county. But thanks to the progress that's been made, we're able to take that in stride. And so everybody should feel good about that in the position the county is. So thank you. That's all I have.
Yeah, I just echo with that, and the work by everybody, amazing. I appreciate that, Monty and everyone. Would you want to, could you speak to them? I know we had some federal highway emergency ones outside of
That's
FEMA.
exactly why I come up. It is associated with FEMA, but I just wanted to make everybody aware. There were 4 projects that are going to be funded through, that were taken off the FEMA process, funded through the Federal Highway Administration. That's both locations on County Road 13, County Road 102, County Road 150 bridge repair, and the County Road 162 out by Agate bridge repair and road replacement. So all of those are in process. We have submitted to the Federal Highway Administration both County Road 13s, County Road 102. We're still waiting for the engineering aspect on the 150 and 162 bridges to get completed. We did meet the deadlines with them on submittal to get 100% reimbursement on both locations on 13 and County Road 102. Maybe later on I can get all the numbers squared away and present it to you guys. We did not make the submittal for 100% reimbursement for the bridges. Obviously, we would have made it anyway on the repairs because we had to be March 24th, I believe it was. But we're still in the 80-20 category. So all those are really big ticket repairs and submittals. So this whole flooding scenario, on there, it's significant, but it's well above that. And so far, all that has come out of Road Bridge. So we're waiting on that. Don't know. Corinne submitted all that. Like I say, the first part of March. We haven't heard any dates on when the checks might be cut for that, but that process has been a huge bonus for us. Also, I know on the presentation, the County Road 150 bridge, typically do bridges somewhere around $1 million, upwards of $2-3 million to replace the bridge. The reason that number is a lot lower than that is we're seeking out the engineering aspect from the Colorado School of Mines, which they will have it will get stamped by a professional engineer, but they have their students and stuff, and it's part of their course agenda that they will come out, they will do all the engineering and workup for near $5,000. So we're in the process of seeking that out and going that route instead of going just a normal like Kimberly Warren would cost the $500,000 just for that aspect. Also, within the 170 bridge, we're looking at some processes where the bridge replacement pieces are already prefab. They're prefab concrete and they're prefab real thick steel. So we met with some of the folks from Skyline Steel out there this week, talked about their processes. They're going to get us some of their engineered up prefab bridges sent over to us, and then we will submit those also to the Colorado School of Mines to see if that's a viable option. So that's why that number seems extremely low for a bridge, and it is, but that's why we're trying to do this as efficiently as possible financially. I just wanted to add this.
No, thank you for that. And yeah, it's great use of cheap professional labor from School of Mines, so keep after that. But yeah, I would appreciate if you guys can kind of get together so we do have a full picture of the costs.
Yeah.
I know we got pushing over $1 million on the FEMA side, federal highways funds and the others, so we can size our future emergency funds properly for another large event. Thank you very much, both of you, for presenting, and everybody who came along to support and provide more technical info. So thank you.
Thank you very much.
I think for the 19th and final time, we're going to talk about the methadone treatment contract with the jail.
Yeah, that's correct. As the board is probably aware, we already did have one contract in place at one point in time, at the very beginning of the year. I'm not exactly sure what occurred with that, but we did need to pursue a separate contract to provide what is considered mandatory treatment options for those with opioid addiction issues, documented issues that are inmates of the jail. One of the holdups was trying to figure out what cost estimate would be as far as terms of a contract with the provider. We would have to go with a specialty provider. That's not necessarily something that the jail has expertise or the ability to take care of itself necessarily. And so, as far as a term, generally we like to do things in 1 year terms, sometimes longer with certain provisions. So that was something we were looking at. And then as far as the total cost, we're looking for one of those. That's something that we did seek from the sheriff's department. Didn't get an exact answer on that, and so I'm putting the best guesstimate on that, so that we can continue to move forward and actually provide this to the inmates as it is required provision for that. And so I've done so. I think, if we need to change things moving forward, if things evolve, we can certainly do that. But I think it's going to be important to have this in place.
Yeah, so my understanding is that initially you just not to exceed 10,000, and if we draw more need than that, we can amend.
That's correct. I don't anticipate, I honestly don't know how much that would be, but I think that's probably a fair place to start. And then, as I said, it's portable. It's something that we can amend moving forward as we see what the actual need is. This hasn't been in place more than 2 to 3 years at this point in time. I think this year has kind of been, this last year and a half has been really where it's been a mandatory requirement. And so I think as we move forward, we're going to have more data on what actual demand is within Elbert County itself. So I think we'll have a better idea on that if we need to make changes moving forward. But I think it's a good place to start. So I ask the board to go ahead and approve this.
All right, so this is something with our approval, we can actually get put in place and be under contract.
That's my understanding. I would have to take a look at where the providing company or the contractor that's going to actually be providing is, but as far as being able to move forward, having the go-ahead or the approval from the board would allow us to move forward with that.
The $10,000 range, is that my signature or is that a county manager one?
I think that's all within the limits of the county manager to be able to move forward with. So I think just wanted to make sure the BOCC was aware and knew what was going on with this particular aspect.
If there's no objection, just move forward. Yes. I don't see any objections. So, yeah, if we just report out at the next meeting, hopefully that we're under contract. All right, thank you. So moving on to action items. We only have one today, and it's consideration of minutes.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve the March 27, 2024 minutes as written and dispense with the reading of those minutes.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to adopt the minutes from March 27th as presented and dispense with the reading. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Those minutes are approved. Moving on to board planning. For our next meeting, again, we could just hopefully get a thumbs up for the month-long contracts in place. We'll have that in minutes at least.
Yeah.
Do we have something on there?
And we wanted an estimate.
Oh, yeah, if we could just, potentially just a rough estimate of what the cost to add a question to the ballot would be. Thank you. So with that, we have one land use item at 1 p.m. here in this location, but until that point, it is, we'll just call it 10 o'clock and we are in recess. Thanks.